Now that I see you, I think not. Tanuki are notorious tricksters.
Is that racist? Now, if you read the title, you're probably a bit confused. I mean, Team Sonic Racing's good and all, and it's garnered decent reviews from critics, but how is it the Sonic game I've been waiting for? Well, I figured since I don't play a lot of kart racers, it would be difficult for me to properly judge this as one. So I thought it'd be a lot easier for me to talk about how it shines as a Sonic game. And boy, does it shine. One of my favorite elements from the game is the interactions between the various characters. Unfortunately, the way it's set up, you can easily play through the entire adventure mode without the story elements, if you just hit the normal select button. Legit, I had to play the final level twice because I accidentally hit the wrong button. I can't help but feel like this was somehow a response to the fact that every time a major website reviews a Sonic game, they talk about how annoying the cutscenes are. Oh, and can we all take a moment to collectively tell IGN to shut the hell up? We get it. You don't like any Sonic characters besides the ones that were created before 1995. But when you repeatedly talk about how the best feature of the story mode is that you can skip the cutscenes, no wonder Sonic Team doesn't put any effort into their stories anymore. I hate this because Sega undoubtedly looks at these and uses them to gauge how they move forward with the franchise. So as long as these big websites continue to bash Sonic's larger cast, Sega will continue to not give them major roles. But back to TSR. One of my favorite elements is how the characters bounce off of each other. It really reminded me of Rivals 2, which is my favorite handheld game in the series. However, while in that game the characters were forced to be at each other's throats the whole time, in this everyone is in character. Sonic and Xiao's rivalry is portrayed perfectly.
Now that you and Sonic have finished your little ego competition, do you think we can address the real problem?
We're far from finished!
And we finally have more canon interactions between Silver and Blaze. There are some new voices, and I didn't really mind any of them. Silver took a second to get used to, but he sounds similar enough to Quentin Flynn that I didn't really mind. He doesn't sound much like Capella though, which sucks because he's my favorite voice actor for Silver. Knuckles was the only one I really had a problem with because it just sounds like he's trying to do an impression of the last guy. It wasn't Roger levels of like, oh god, please stop, but I feel like it would have been better if he had just done something. I don't care enough about Zavok to mind his new voice, so that's whatever. And Blaze hasn't had a speaking role in a while, so her new voice was hardly noticeable. I heard that these were due to some scheduling conflicts with their usual VAs, but if they're going to keep these guys, then can we just please get a mass recasting of everyone? And by everyone, I mean Sonic. I know it's incredibly rude of me to be petitioning for Roger to lose his job, but I just think it's time for someone else to have a turn. Speaking of Sonic, he's one of my problems with the game's story. Very similar to my problem with the IDW comics, it just feels like all the interesting stuff is happening around Sonic, and he's just a passenger in his own game. Aside from his rivalry with Shadow, which I genuinely loved, his entire character in this game is basically just gotta go fast. He feels more like when people intentionally do bad impressions of Sonic rather than the actual character of Sonic. On the other side, Silver, the best character in video game history, don't at me, is done so much justice in this game. He has so much screen time, and I don't want to spoil the game too much, but given the role he plays in the story, I'd argue that if not for the title, you can make a very compelling argument for Silver actually being the main character instead of Sonic. Unfortunately, one thing I think is still just inexcusable is the game's lack of animation for its cutscenes. I had the same problem with Forces as well, especially since most of the cutscenes seem to just be them standing around talking. Hell, kick a few bucks towards Sasso Studios or Shao759, they could probably make you some cutscenes in SFM. This would be acceptable for a DS game, but for a game made on next-generation consoles, I don't think animated cutscenes are too much to ask. At least the one cutscene they do have looks amazing. You know, unless you're like me and have the Switch version, and then you didn't get to see it. I also appreciate how they mentioned why Espio and Charmy aren't with Vector, as opposed to Free Riders where they just vanished. Still no explanation for Cream though, so I hope she's not just gone forever. Oh, one quick thing I almost forgot to mention. You can't customize your teams, or at least not that I've found. Which is really lame, especially since I'm pretty sure that was something that the game was advertised for. Like, I really wanted to have Team Triple S. Like, what the heck? What's the deal there? And it wouldn't even be as bad if it was just, okay, you have your preset teams and you can't change them. But when you do the Grand Prix, they'll just randomize your team. So, like, even if you like Team Vector just the way it is, it'll, like, you can pick Silver, and I got, like, Silver, Chao, and Tails. And I remember one thing I saw was like, oh, maybe they did that so that way you didn't pick all one type. But it gave me all one type. And so, I don't know, I hope they, like, patch that in or something, because, like, Team Triple S, come on! But, and, like, there were so many combinations I wanted to try, it sucks, but, I don't know, I mean, that doesn't ruin the game for me, but that's a bummer, because I really wanted to do that. As usual for Sonic games, the music is amazing, Greenlight Ride is great, and I hope Crush 40 sticks around for a while. The environments all look very pretty. Overall, there are obviously some complaints I could make, such as big stupidity going beyond what's funny and just being kinda sad, and Sonic's overall character. As I said before, this is still the Sonic game I've been waiting forever for, and I hope that the stuff that worked well in this game gets translated to the next main series game. But I guess only time will tell. I think it goes without saying that I highly recommend this game, so if you want to see more of stuff like this in the future, then vote with your wallet. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on Team Sonic Racing are. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.